So one of the areas we also received a number of questions on was the U.S. election. And we're heading towards, obviously, a U.S. election this fall. And I'm joined by Saket Mundra, who leads our U.S. equity strategy. Welcome, Saket. So Saket, as we're maybe help our viewers understand how we're thinking about the U.S. election coming up and how we're framing it from an investment perspective.
Thanks, Kevin. The U.S. elections are very interesting and fluid this time around. 6 months ago, nobody was giving Joe Biden any chance to even win the Democratic nomination. And here we are today where people are talking about a Democratic sweep. The reason I mention that is because we're still 3-4 months away from the elections, and things can change. It's an unknowable event. It's an unknown who is going to win. Odds can change at any point in time. So given that, we expect some volatility to happen in the market. And hopefully with our process, what we would do is we'd pick up a business or a couple of businesses that probably are going to be able to navigate these regulatory regimes, different regimes, and come out winner in the sector.
Right, exactly. And I know in the past when there's been uncertainty created by different political regimes, we've taken advantage of that volatility as an investment opportunity. Can you give us an example of that in action?
Yeah, the best example that comes to mind is last year we bought a company named United Health Group. It's the largest health insurance company in the United States. And last year there was a lot of chatter when Democratic nominations were going around as to who's going to win. And depending on their healthcare policy, this business may or may not exist going forward. When we looked at the business, we never felt that the business is under completely, existential threat, and hence we initiated a position in United Health at the right time, thinking that it's going to be a good investment, which it has turned out to be. The fact is, Kevin, United Health has been in business since 1977, almost over 42 years. During that tenure, they've seen 6 different presidents, some with double terms. So when we invest, we look for companies that we expect to navigate different regulatory environment because business can last a long time.
And Saket, my third question on the U.S. election, it seems like almost on a daily basis I'm getting these tables or information emails that say, well, if the Democrats win, here's the sectors that win and here's the sectors that lose. Or if the Republicans win, here's the sectors you want to be in and here's the sectors you don't want to be in. And you've talked to me before, it's not quite that simple, right? It's not that linear. And so can you speak to that? Because I think a lot of investors are trying to, position ahead of the election and pick these winning and losing sectors. And I'm not sure that's the best strategy at this time.
Yep, Kevin, that's correct. We have always spoken about not just thinking linearly, but thinking about different factors that could affect a business and the portfolio. A number of firms put out tables that if this party wins or this president wins, this sector could benefit. We don't see that as a comprehensive way of looking at things, especially in the current environment. Reason being, there's a number of things that are going on. For example, there's a resurgence in number of cases in COVID, and we still don't have a treatment. Number 2, we are coming from a deep economic contraction, and there's a lot of stimulus in the economy. So how all these variables are going to impact any policy that a president may enact, or maybe given the environment, they may not be able to enact whatever they're promising right now. So all these factors have to come together and we have to take them into account rather than just thinking about if this guy wins, this is what's going to happen to this sector. A good example would be, again, going back to United Health that we spoke about. For example, the common consensus in the market is that if Joe Biden wins or if a Democratic sweep comes, it's going to be good for healthcare insurers. Sounds about right. However, on the other end, if Biden wins and he also raises taxes, which he has been talking about, given that United Health is a 100% domestic business, they may be actually affected negatively. Right. So what's the net delta between a positive and a negative? So you have to take that into account. On top of that, if you just think about where the economy is today and the resurgence in cases, and God forbid if we don't find a treatment for next year or so, there's going to be a lot of cost for these healthcare insurance companies. So that has to be taken into account. In a sense, what I'm trying to say is we cannot just take one way of thinking and think that this is how it is going to be, because if that were true, your job and my job would be much easier.
Right.
And hence, we look at all these factors. We have to go bottoms up, think about how things can affect each part of the business, what are the secondary effects, and take them into account and invest accordingly.
No, Saket, that's excellent. I know there's a term we use in our research team quite often and work on continuously called second level thinking, and that's exactly what you're talking about with regards to the US election. And I think the other point you made, which is really good, is we should expect some volatility as we head into the US election, and we're going to use our investment process to take advantage of that volatility and hopefully pick up some good bargains.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.